Okay, nationwide, let's use actual numbers as examples. There are 18 other places, other cities that have more violent crime than Washington, D.C. Number one being St. Louis, Missouri. 4 times the homicide rate of Washington, D.C. I don't see Donald Trump sending National Guard troops and taking over the police department there. Or in Memphis, or Memphis, Tennessee, another red state. Right, okay, then you know Memphis was one of the murder capitals of the world.
Yeah.
And how come you're not calling for Donald Trump to send National Guard troops in there?
Because I also understand the laws, and I understand that it's different in Washington, D.C., as it was explained by
York?
Joey.
Wait. He said he wants to also move this little experiment here of taking over cities and police departments to New York, Chicago,
It's amazing
Baltimore.
how much you guys get mad about fighting crime.
So no, don't change the subject. Nobody's getting mad about fighting crime. Let me finish. Nobody's getting mad about fighting crime. I come from a law enforcement family. My grandfather was a captain of the police department for 40 years in my hometown. My husband was a federal officer. I, unlike you guys, actually support federal law enforcement officers.
Doesn't sound like it.
And doesn't sound like it?
I'm sorry. You're mad at Donald Trump for enabling
You're okay with Donald Trump
Hold
pardoning 1,600 January 6th officers that almost killed police officers.
I'm not. Hold on.
So don't conflate the issues. Don't ever question my support for law enforcement.
Joey make a legal point.
So before anybody gets hysterical about what's happening in D.C. can happen to other parts of the country, I would hasten to add that there are laws protecting the autonomy of other cities in the country.
Except that he hasn't respected those laws, and we've seen
that.
And that's the problem here. He's been itching to do this since his first presidency.
Do you know what Donald Trump did? He froze programs to 550 community violence intervention programs, 170 million across 48 states. If he were serious, he would be funding these programs to help people.
You know, I think it's important that people understand something here about law enforcement officers and at every level, right? Like I mentioned in the last segment, I come from a police family and I bleed blue. And I was on this set for many years defending law enforcement officers during Ferguson and during other times where police officers were getting bad raps on certain things, explaining the complexities of the job. And it really is something that I just cannot tolerate when Trump supporters are trying to sit here and act as though Donald Trump supports and backs the blue. No, he doesn't. You look at what Donald Trump did and what MAGA has done to the police officers who defended our Capitol on January 6th. You want to talk about spitting in the face? Donald Trump spit in the face of every single one of those officers who took that oath to protect and serve on January 6th when he pardoned those insurrectionist bastards and who wanted to take down our Capitol and stop the free and fair peaceful transfer of power. So how dare he say this now? It is the reincarnation of George Wallace, of Huey Long, of the disgusting policies of the past that have this strong man desire to use law and order and the fear and demagogue for people that Donald Trump is channeling right now. And so how dare people sit here and say that he backs the blue? He abdicated that because you know what? He did not protect or defend the Constitution, and he violated his oath of office. You know who said that? You did after January 6th. And that's exactly what he continues to do right now with the way he is throwing around our military, our police, talking about moving us to other states. This is something people should be very concerned about.
I mean, he's advocating for the police. You just talked about D.C.
So why?
Only some police. What about the FBI agents?
Let me go back to what he said a second. Has he ever done anything that you support? Has he ever done anything that he supports law enforcement?
Actually, he offered pardons to Border Patrol agents who didn't deserve to be prosecuted. But that's not what we're talking about. Don't change the subject.
I'm asking you, is there anything he's ever done with law enforcement that you support?
Don't change the subject. Are you okay with that guy? Are you okay with the guy that they just played getting taxpayer money, working in the Department of Justice, saying he wants to kill?
I'm literally saying that I support the President of the United States of America.
You won't answer that.
So advocating and going out there and protecting and defending Americans in dangerous cities. And you guys are like, oh, he's going to go into Memphis and he's going to go into L.A. and then all of a sudden people may stop dying.
As well, I think what the president is responding to today is what can I do today? D.C. is the only city I really have control of, so I'm going to try to give them some support. He's getting a note of confidence from the D.C. police union. I suspect if they did things in other cities, other police unions in those cities would also offer some support. And so what I would simply say is that all you can do is hit the next shot. And the next shot right now, I think for a lot of Americans is what can be done today to reduce violent crime and to make me feel safer in my neighborhood, I think he's going to get a lot of political support for the idea that the federal government's getting a little more muscular when it comes to cracking down on violent criminals.
If he controls D.C., why didn't he do it on January 6th? Why didn't he do it on January 6th when he sat there and let them take over the Capitol? He had the opportunity to, and he didn't.
Before Vladimir Putin arrives in the U.S.
The president has solved like 7 conflicts this year. I'm willing to give him some latitude to talk to Vladimir Putin and break the deadlock and try to move us toward a place where the killing comes to an end, because I think that's what we should all be praying for.
He actually hasn't solved 7 conflicts. There's been a lot of talk about that.
What reality do you live in? He's literally got these guys in the White House where they're signing documents and shaking hands. Acknowledge the man is solving peace.
India questioned about whether that was an actual deal.
It happens on almost a weekly basis. Just acknowledge it. Just acknowledge it.
And I will also acknowledge that Donald Trump seems to have an affinity for Vladimir Putin in a way. No, you're not going to get away with calling me a liar. I know that's like the line you like to throw out, but I'm not lying.
You're lying.
Nobody's lying about anything.
Sure
You can ask the countries who were involved in this whether those conflicts were actually solved by Donald Trump or whether it was pomp and circumstance.
Okay.
Anyway.
Whatever you say. You're the expert.
So Donald Trump's affinity for Vladimir Putin versus the way he treats Zelensky, who's the one
Did
that's
he show
actually
affinity to them when he just arranged for the arms to NATO?
I'm
just sorry, Abby. We're saying things that do not exist in reality. He just got NATO to do hundreds of millions of dollars of lethal weapons to Ukraine. What affinity to Russia is that?
It's crazy. Let me just let her finish so I can even understand what point she's trying to make.
Let me
let her finish the point.
Okay. So we all have seen how Donald Trump has been has an affinity for Vladimir Putin. We have seen the pattern for years, and only recently, because he hasn't been able to solve the crisis in 24 hours, because Putin has been playing him from day one. He's been a useful idiot for Russia for years, and now because they're trying to change the subject.
Is Biden a useful idiot?
Okay.
Because it started when Biden was president. I'm just curious if you're going to hold Biden the same standard. If Donald Trump's always a useful idiot, then Joe Biden should be held accountable for, like, I don't know, almost 2 years of this.
Let me go back for 1 second.
Joe Biden didn't take the side of Vladimir Putin over our own intelligence agency the way Donald Trump did in Helsinki. So let's not even go there.
It's really just sad is that there's people that are sitting at this table that clearly want this to be a failure.
Where are those people?
I think you're one of them.
What? You don't put words in my mouth. I never said that, and neither did Dan.
You come out here with the talking points.
We want him to negotiate from a position of strength, not bringing a war criminal on U.S. soil and saying, I'm not allowed to interrupt you, but you can interrupt me and overtalk the whole time.
I heard a lot of what you said. I heard a lot of what you said, and a lot of it was against Trump. I go back to what I was saying.
It's about more than that with this president. This is a president on CNBC celebrated 1.7 million foreign-born workers losing their job. Many Americans are in that statistic. He also said that people from the inner city couldn't do work on the farms. That was obviously a trope, okay? This is a guy who wants to redo the census. The Harvard Kennedy School said that 6 million Latinos will be disenfranchised, many of them American, as a result of that census. So we shouldn't be surprised that with a guy with this lens is espousing these kind of things.
Well, not only that, though, we're not talking about the Europeans or the Asians that have visa overstays. All the examples you guys have used have been about people who are Hispanic and speak Spanish. That right there, the fact that they're not asking to go and raid, like, the French bakeries. And the people who come over from Europe,
is there a bunch of French bakery issues that we don't know about tonight? Breaking news tonight, there's French bakery problems.
Guess what? There's a lot of people who come over here that stay illegally with visa overstays from European countries and other places that are not.
I'm a law enforcement guy.
But I didn't hear you using those examples. So that's the problem. When you start going down the road, you got a chance to talk. Enough. We are not going down the road. When you start going down the road of racial, well, use that as an example because you used Home Depot, and you guys are uninterested in the racial profiling of people who are not Hispanic or not speaking Spanish.
There was an interesting note.
That's a problem. Obnoxious as you want about it, but you know that the facts are about visa overstays, and that's not who you guys are talking about.